Jag sa att det redan är på väg ut. Hi guys! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy you're here. Today I will share my birth story with you guys. And this is the biggest thing that has happened to me in my whole life. And I also love watching these kind of stories myself. So I thought I would come and share my story with you guys. So let's start with the day before. So a fun fact is that our daughter was actually born on her due date. And the day before, I didn't feel anything. I was of course heavily pregnant, but no signs of the delivery coming soon, or the delivery starting. So that day I went for a walk, quite a long walk, had some coffee and then walked back home, and it was just a normal day. And I was pretty much, since this was the day before the due date and I didn't feel any signs of the delivery, I was pretty much just thinking that I wouldn't need to wait a couple of more days or a week or two and maybe get induced even. But when I was walking back home, I was just around the corner, and that's when I all of a sudden started feeling these contractions. And that feeling was something different and something new and something that I hadn't felt during my pregnancy. And even the first ones, the first contractions, they were kind of painful already from the beginning. Not too bad. I was still able to walk back home and yeah, do normal things. But yeah, even the first ones, they were quite painful. Yeah, so I came home and I just stayed on the couch the whole night. I think this was maybe 6 o'clock in the evening. My boyfriend made us some dinner, we had dinner, I was still doing pretty fine. But then the contractions just became more powerful and they were pretty regular. So I think from the beginning they came maybe every 10 minutes. But then quite fast that went down to 6, 5, 4 minutes. And they got more and more powerful. But I was still able to manage the contractions at home without any pain medication. And then at some point during the night my boyfriend went to bed, which was good. I wasn't able to sleep at all during that night, so I was just happy that he could get some sleep at least. And I remember I was also in the bedroom. This was in the middle of the night, maybe at 2 o'clock in the night, after midnight. And the contractions at that point were so powerful that I couldn't sit down anymore, or I couldn't lay down in the bed. I was standing up, leaning against the wall, or standing on my knees and leaning against a table or our bed, and just trying to breathe through the contractions. I was also listening to this playlist that I got from my pregnancy yoga I went to during my pregnancy. So after each yoga session we had this relaxing music playing, this relaxation. So I found this playlist on YouTube Music. It's called 432 Hertz Healing Female Energy, and it's 2 hours long. So I just had it on repeat basically the whole night, and that really helped me. It kept me calm, I wasn't afraid of the pain, and I was able to breathe through the contractions. So about breathing, So when I was pregnant, I think 2 weeks before my due date, we went to this course that was preparing us for the delivery, and there we learned some different breathing techniques that I was able to use during the delivery. And we also learned that when you're in pain, your automatic reaction is kind of to get tense in your body and just get tense everywhere, and maybe even stop breathing, or yeah, maybe even use these high-pitched voices, or even scream in this really high-pitched voice. And that's a normal reaction when it hurts. But the thing during birth, when you're giving birth, if you get this all tense, and yeah, you're just like thinking about how much it hurts, and yeah, that's not gonna help you, and it's not gonna help your body or the baby to come down and the delivery to proceed. So the idea is that you try to, when it's possible, if it's possible, you really try to breathe, take deep breaths, and also try to relax your body. So if you have your partner or a support person with you in the delivery room, they can, for example, just push down your shoulders and give you a massage and tell you, use this calm voice and remind you of trying to relax. And also, they also told us that if you're in giving birth and your partner tells you to, oh, just relax, that might be kind of annoying as well. So the teacher in this course, she told us that it's good to say this really well, for example, instead of just saying relax, you can say, your partner or a support person can say, relax your shoulders, relax your face, yeah, that kind of things. So I tried to use those techniques, and then yeah, I was just taking contractions the whole night. And then 5 o'clock in the morning, that's when I called the hospital for the first time, because I was really hurting at this point. And this was my first time giving birth, so I also didn't have any idea how much the pain would escalate or how I should be feeling when I'm ready to go to the hospital. And I only knew that, at least here in Sweden, they say that when your contractions are 3 minutes apart for a longer period of time, not only that you get 2 or 3 contractions every third minute, but it actually is maybe half an hour or an hour every 3 minutes, then you should go to the hospital. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, some of my contractions came every 3 minutes apart, but then I could also have like 4 or 5 or even 6 minutes, but they were painful. They were really painful at this point and powerful. I couldn't eat anything. I was of course tired because I hadn't been sleeping and I was hurting. And I was I was throwing up. I was not doing good, but somehow I survived. And when I talked to the midwife on the phone, she told me to just take some painkillers, you know, just these normal painkillers, and take a hot shower and try to stay home a bit more and then call back later. And at this point, painkillers, I mean, they didn't help at all. We were way past that point. I mean, you have a headache, you take a painkiller, it might help, but this was on another level, so the painkillers didn't help. I did take a shower, but I wasn't able to I wasn't able to stand in the shower. I was hurting too much. So, and we don't have a bathtub, so that didn't really work for me at all. Then at some point during the morning, my boyfriend woke up and he came to help me with these breathing techniques and yeah, massaging and yeah, just helping me with the contractions. And then at 11 o'clock, so right before lunchtime, I called the hospital again, and by that point I had decided that we will go in. We will leave for the hospital now, and I don't care what they say, even if they would tell me to stay home, we're going. I think at this point I wasn't scared, but the pain was really intense, and I just felt that I wasn't able to handle this by myself anymore, or with the help of my boyfriend. I didn't feel safe with this amount of pain and being at home. So we called a taxi, and I told my boyfriend that we're not taking an Uber. I want a nice car, a comfortable car. And I was afraid of the taxi ride to the hospital, because I didn't know how it would go, just yeah, for me to sit still in a car and take the contractions, get through the contractions, because at this point I wasn't able to stand still or sit down when I got a contraction. Yeah, and I think I was so lucky because the car that came to pick us up, it was a really nice car, and I was so comfortable in the back seat, so I was really happy for that. And the car ride was maybe 10 minutes to the hospital, so it's quite close. And we got there to the entrance, and that's when I realized that from the entrance to where we were supposed to go, to the reception, that was a long walk. And my boyfriend, he just kept on walking with all our stuff, all our bags and everything, and kind of didn't look back. and I had to stop several times during this walk up to the reception, because I had contractions pretty much all the time. In the taxi, I think I only had 2 contractions, which was good. But now when I was walking again and moving, they came back, and they came really often. Oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention, that when I called the hospital the second time, when I had decided that we will go in, my contractions were actually not 3 minutes apart all the time. They could be 3 minutes apart, a few contractions, and then it could be 5 minutes or 4 minutes or even 6 minutes, I think, still at this point. But when they asked, because they did ask if my contractions are coming every 3 minutes, and I did say yes, because I wanted to go in. Yeah, so anyways, we came to the hospital, we came to the reception, and the midwife who was there, she made this comment and said that, she said something like, "Oh, I really think this is for real." I was like, yeah, yeah, this is for real. So I'm not sure if they thought when I was on the phone that I wasn't, yeah, I don't know what they thought. But at that point she could really see and hear that I had really, really strong contractions. So we got our room right away, and at this point I wasn't really able to talk anymore when a contraction came. And they put this monitor on my belly to monitor the baby, and at this point I still didn't have any pain relief, but then after a while I got laughing gas. But first she did a checkup on me, and she told me that I was 7 to 8 centimeters dilated, so 7 to 8 out of 10. And when I heard that, I was so happy and I was so relieved, because as I said, this was my first time giving birth. I didn't have any idea of how much the pain would escalate, and yeah, I didn't have any idea if I would be open almost 10 centimeters or if I would be open 1 centimeter or not at all dilated. I had no idea. So when she told me that, I also then knew that they will let us stay. So that was a huge relief. After this point, everything got a bit chaotic and also a bit blurry for me, and this was really the next hour or so, next 2 hours, were the worst part of my delivery, of giving birth. And that was because I was opening or dilating from 8 centimeters up to 10, and that was for me so painful. And at this point I did get a bit scared, but I was also so relieved that we left for the hospital when we did, and that we did not stay at home any longer, because I think if I had stayed home, I had probably, it would have been scary with this this amount of pain that I was in, and I don't want to scare anybody. So I will come to it in a while. I survived, but I'm just saying that the worst part for me was the last centimeters of this opening phase. And I think I was just screaming for the epidural. I told my boyfriend that he needs to fix the epidural for me. I told the nurse, the midwife, and at the same time, when everything, I was really in pain, and still I didn't have any pain relief. And at the same time, they had a new shift coming in, so I got a new midwife and a new nurse. So in Sweden you have a midwife, or at least in Stockholm, in one of the hospitals where I gave birth, at least there they had one midwife and one nurse in the room. And then later on, when I was pushing, another midwife came in to help. But otherwise, one midwife, one nurse. Yeah, so I was screaming for the epidural, and the nurse was trying to get this needle in here at first to give me, they wanted to give me an IV line before the epidural. But somehow she didn't succeed, and I was just at this point laying on the bed because they told me that I need to lay down. And it was so difficult because it was so painful, and I just wanted to stand up or lean against something when I got these contractions. I did not want to sit down or lay down on the bed, so that was really hard for me. Anyways, I was on the bed and she was trying to find the right spot. I don't know why it was that hard for her, but she didn't manage. She gave up, and the midwife came in and she was stressed as well, because I guess she could see my pain, and she just gave up with this part and just put it in here instead, and she just kind of pushed it in, forced it in. That was my experience, at least, but at this point I didn't really care what they did. I just wanted the epidural. Yeah, but during this process, when they tried to put in the needle, there was just blood everywhere on my clothes. So I was wearing this hospital clothes. Blood everywhere, blood on my boyfriend and on his clothes. He needed to throw away his jeans after this. Yeah, so it was a bit chaotic. And then finally, maybe after, I think this was, so it was a bit hard for me to know what time it was, but I think maybe 2 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock, but yeah, a couple of hours after we checked in, I would say, or maybe 1.5, I got the epidural. And at this point they had already given me this laughing gas, which was a good distraction for the contractions, but I don't really know if it helped. Also, a bit later on, they told me that they had forgotten to, so when they gave me the laughing gas from the beginning, I think they put it on like half power, like 50%, and they forgot it on that. They forgot to put it up to, I think, I don't know if they put it on 100, but yeah, up from 50. So I only had a half dose of laughing gas and these terrible contraction pains. And I think they forgot because the new shift came in. Yeah. Anyways, when I got the epidural, that went fine. But I was scared because the contractions were so bad, and they told me that I have to sit down and not move when they put in the epidural, and that was almost impossible for me. So this doctor, he wanted me to sit like this with my back, and then he put the epidural here, and trying to stay still was almost impossible. So I was so scared, so I was basically overdosing the laughing gas, which was the only pain relief I had at this point. So I just kept breathing in. You're supposed to take a break after your contraction, but I didn't. I just continued to breathe in to be able to sit still, and that worked. But I felt so drunk. I felt so drunk when I took it off eventually. And I remember, yeah, I was just sitting on the bed and laughing. I mean, I was really in pain, but I was laughing, and yeah, it was a weird experience, but I really felt like I was, I don't know, that I was partying. I was drunk. Yeah, so after that I was a bit more careful with the laughing gas, but I got the epidural and it helped almost right away. But the thing is that I've heard people say that after you get the epidural, or you get this long break and you can do stuff, you can maybe watch a movie, or yeah, do whatever you want, and you won't be hurting for a while. But I'm kind of, I don't know, but I'm kind of suspecting that when they gave me epidural, that maybe that I was already 10 centimeters dilated at that point. I can't know, but I mean, considering the pain I was in right before the epidural, and then also after getting the epidural, so I felt my contractions during this opening phase on my stomach, so in the front and not in the back, as I know that some people do feel the contractions more, or the pain more in their back. For me, it was on the stomach, and the epidural really helped for that, against that. So I could relax, I could actually eat some lunch, drink some water, I could talk again with a normal voice, and yeah, I was feeling so much better. But I could really immediately after the epidural feel this pressure coming down, and so I think that I was already 10 centimeters dilated and starting to move on to the next phase when the baby just comes, yeah, is coming down and then out in the end when you're pushing. So I didn't get a long break. I could feel the contractions all the time, and they did hurt, but it was nothing compared with this how it was right before the epidural.
Ja, bra.
Gått med lite mat, magen har kurrat länge nu.
Skönt.
Alltså de här verkarna, ja, det var inte så skönt att sitta så här.
Nej.
Jag fick bara en kort paus från verken.
Ja.
So after having lunch, I just kept walking in the room because they told me to keep moving, and we tried some different positions that I could give birth in.
Det trycker. Tryck. Jag sa att det redan är på väg ut.
Okej.
Nu känns det mer just mot baken.
Ja.
När det kommer en värk och det trycker liksom bakåt, neråt och bakåt. Att det är något på magen som gör ont.
Är det värk igen?
Yeah, I think that's what we did for the coming 2 hours, maybe 2-3 hours, something like that. And then after a while, the midwife, so the midwife was in the room quite a lot, but then she also left, and then she came back, and it was kind of back and forth. So we were also by ourselves in the room quite a lot.
Nej, men det var lite läskigt för att jag inte hängde med.
Ja.
Och shit vad den här verkan gjorde ont. Den sista.
Ja.
Så jag måste lite som ett psykfall. Just när den här nya undersköterskan kom in.
After a while, the midwife came in and told me that they want to break my water, and so they did. And during this time, I had contractions regularly all the time, and the pain relief I had was the epidural and laughing gas. And as I said, laughing gas, I'm not sure if it helped against the pain, but it was a really good distraction every time I got a contraction, just to have something else to do, to have a task. To take the mask, put it on, breathe in, take it out, I'll take it off. So that was good with laughing gas. Yeah, but the contractions kept coming, and after a while she came in again, the midwife, and told me that even if the contractions are regular, they want to see the contractions stronger or more powerful. And she thought that the delivery at this point was going a bit too slow. It was a bit too slow. So they wanted to speed it up. So they got me this IV with something that made the contractions stronger. And after that, I think everything went pretty fast. And this was around 6-7 o'clock in the evening. But for me, the whole time in the hospital, it felt like the time went so fast. It didn't feel like we were there for many hours at all.
Älskling. Duktigt.
Hålla mig lugn. Ja, det trycker så jäkla mycket nu. Oj, ursäkta. Det är så tryck. Alltså det här trycket. Jag försvinner som sagt inte med lustgasen och så, inte alls.
After this, the contractions got even stronger, and after a while, so the midwife told me that I was not allowed to push before they tell me to. And then after a while she asked if I feel like pushing, and I did. I mean, I didn't know how I was supposed to feel, but I felt this huge pressure coming down. So we started pushing, and I think after pushing once, or even, no, I think it was before I even started pushing, that they told me that they can actually see the head. And that made me so happy, because I knew that it's close now and that she had really come down as she was supposed to. And so I started pushing at 7 o'clock in the evening. I pushed for 20 to 30 minutes, 25 minutes I think, so not that long, which I'm really grateful for. And then the last 2 pushes was when her body came out, or her head came out. And I found this whole pushing phase, of course it hurts, but it was more manageable than the opening phase, than the last centimeters of the opening phase, because this time I was actually able to do something. I was able to push, while in the first phase I just had to breathe through the contractions. So it was painful for sure, but it was more manageable. And at this point they also told me, or they took away my laughing gas, because they wanted me to hear what they say and focus on pushing. I don't know if it was because I was overdosing it before when I got the epidural, or why, but anyways. So no laughing gas for me while I was pushing. And yeah, so the last 2 pushes was first when the head came out, and I could really feel that, and it hurts, yes, and I know that people usually say that the head is the worst part of it, but I don't know, I didn't find it that terrible, because I knew at that point that it was so close, that she was so close, and that I had almost survived giving birth.
Det kommer en väg. Filma runt. Nej, du får klippa bort sen. Vill du ha en stor?
Snart är det klart. Kämpa. Jättebra.
Räcker över nu?
Jag vet inte.
Nej. Jättebra, Johanna.
De kommer ju nu.
Fortsätt andas. Bara andas. Ja. Så. Nu är huvudet ute.
Bara huvudet.
Ja.
Nej.
So the head came out, and it was a crazy feeling, because you can really feel something just coming out. And then we were waiting for the next contraction, but that never came. So apparently they waited for 3 minutes for the next one, and they did not want to wait any longer, because she was half out. Okay, now she's waking up from her nap. So yeah, so after 3 minutes they just told me to push even without the contraction. So I just pushed, and the rest of the body came out, and that was a crazy feeling. and she started crying right away, and it was the most amazing feeling, and I was so relieved. It was the most amazing feeling to get her up on my chest, and we had some skin to skin, and I wanted to breastfeed, so yeah, they also told me that just to keep the baby on my chest, and she will try to look for her food for the breast, which she did, which was so cool. And yeah, I mean, the main feeling for me was just relief that she was now here with us and that I had survived giving birth. And I felt really strong, and I just got this new respect for women who can do these amazing things and how amazing our bodies are. Yeah, it was a cool experience, and of course it was painful, but giving birth is painful, but I would do it again, and it was a positive experience for me, and I'm so happy and grateful that everything went fine. I did tear grade 2, which I think is pretty common. So a doctor came in and took care of that, and that took a while. But I just had her on my chest the whole time, and then after a while my boyfriend took her, and they had some skin to skin, and we got some sandwiches and some juice and coffee and tea. And then after a couple of hours, since we were all doing good, we got transferred to this other part of the hospital, which was this hotel part of the hospital. So we got our room, our own private room there. It was something in between a hotel room and a hospital room. It was pretty nice. We stayed there for 2 nights. They helped, the midwives working there, they helped me with breastfeeding, and they just helped with any question we had. And yeah, there was food there. They had breakfast, and then they had this kitchen area where they always had some sandwiches and yogurt and things like that. And we also had our own snacks with us, and then we ordered dinner and lunch from their menu. And after 2 days, so on her 3rd day, we left the hospital and came home. Yeah, giving birth was pretty amazing, pretty cool. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you guys have given birth, I would love to hear your stories if you want to share in the comments. As I said, I love to watch these type of content, so please share if you want to. That would be That would be so interesting to hear how your experience has been. And I know there are a lot of or I know that I was lucky since everything went fine, and I know that isn't always the case, but for me, giving birth to my first child, my daughter, it was a positive experience. Painful, but cool and positive. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you soon again. Bye.